Welcome to Dr. Jester Rant, and I'm gonna rant about this. From New York Post. Sister of suspected Portland shooter Michael Reinoehl, I think, relieved feds killed him. If you don't know who he is the one responsible for shooting the Trump supporter in Portland a couple of days ago. Well, allegedly. I'm gonna summarize a little bit the video. You could see in the green image the two Trump supporters walking. Apparently they lived nearby, so I suspect they may have been going back home. And then you could hear a few vehicles pulling by, and you could actually see, or hear in this case, a couple of people yelling, "Look, we got a couple over here, got two Trumpsters," or something like that. And then you hear gunshots. But in the image, in the grainy image, you could actually see a very big mist coming out of the two, or more or less in the area where the gunshots happened. No, that's not the actual gunshot powder. We haven't had guns that do that amount of spray or gunshot or smoke in a very long time. The last time we actually had these amount of dust or particles of the gunpowder was around the Civil War. So in this case it was very likely because the Trump supporter was pulling out the mace when he turned around by being surprised, so he was kind of expecting Antifa, since apparently the Antifa was very active in the area around that time. Is that when he pulled the mace, the guy actually shot and the bullet went through the canister of the mace, exploding and going mace everywhere. And we can actually see that, and evidence of this, not only because of the mist, but because of the guy filming the event. He comments how he got maced, or he had mace on himself. You can actually see that or hear with him commenting on, and that only happens when the mace or the mist itself it goes everywhere, not when you have a funnel being directed by the mace. So back on the news. Oh, and then this allegedly Michael Reinoehl started to run, and then on yesterday came out an interview, apparently a footage with Vice, from Vice News, saying how I'm not even going to go there, but he posted on Instagram and everywhere, in which he suggested that he's 100% Antifa. And then in that interview of Vice, he suggested that he had to do it way before these two white supremacists shot his black friend. But based on the footage, that doesn't seem to be quite the case. But then again, they are part of the establishment, so much so that journalists only believe these kind of people. They don't care much about facts. So back to the news. The sister of Portland shooting suspect Michael Forrest Reinoehl was relieved and also disappointed by her brother's death Thursday, and now fears it will kick off a fresh wave of violence. I fear that too. She seems to be very level-headed and seems to know things really well. I like her. I don't care what political party she stands on or what her political views are, but based on what she has said here, she seems to be a very good person and someone who has her head screwed straight on. Let's continue. April Reinoehl said she knew her Antifa supporting brother's death was only a matter of time, but she was shocked to learn it was a U.S. Marshal Task Force and not right-wing supporters that took him out in Washington state. I won't say at this point that this counts as bad news, it's just more news, April told the Daily Mail, which broke the news of Michael's killing in a phone call. Honestly, I didn't expect it to be the police. I expected it to be the people who had a contract out for him. I was expecting the angry population of people who were out for blood. April, who was estranged from the 48-year-old security guard, expects his death will spur even more violence. That's actually very likely. Let me take a sip of my coffee. Now we've got two martyrs, and that's how the two opposite sides are going to want to spin it. She's absolutely right, because the media is trying to portray this guy as some sort of martyr, someone who had a very good reason to shoot at the Trump supporter. Even though, looking at the video and based on the information we have, he did not have any of those reasons. But let the media do the spinning, because they will. Which is why I keep saying over and over, don't give these people footage or anything that they may use against you, even if it looks like a self-defense, like happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. Don't go out, don't antagonize them, don't go and give them anything. Let them keep making the mistake. Voice your opinions online, sure. Stand your ground on companies, or make an email campaign, sending emails to other companies in case they do something retarded like Games Workshop and things like that. Do it peacefully, and when the time comes, which is during the elections, you go out, you vote, and show your support to the people who are actually standing against things like this. Don't ever do it violently. Remember, Martin Luther King said that even if you achieve change through violence, it's never going to be permanent. So don't ever be violent, and don't go out and give the media footage or anything to portray our side as negative. Remember, these people are all supported by the establishment. They are the establishment, they are the aristocracy. These people have the media supporting them. They have the biggest ally in everything, because they can actually use the media to spin their narrative. So please don't give them any of these things. Don't give them don't interrupt them making the mistake, because the violence, the destructions going on in the US right now is actually showing people and showing that these people are not to be trusted, and that we can see these on the polling or on the polls showing support for Trump. So please don't go out. Really, just don't. Back to the news. Hatred begets hatred. She is absolutely 100% correct. I will wholeheartedly agree with April here. Anybody who saw him in their eyes standing up for the plight of the black people being killed by a police officer, this is going to validate their feelings in their minds of all the anger that they have, whether or not it's correct or righteous, April said. Holy shit, she is good. Well, she is really, really good and responsible. I like her. The teacher and mom of two described Michael as an impulsive person who let his worst emotions guide his actions. She seems to have gotten all the logic and the level-headedness of the entire family all in her. And then, back to the news. And then trying to rationalize them afterwards. She also believed he wouldn't go down without a fight. So I'm not surprised he got himself killed. I'm surprised a police officer did it, she said. I'm relieved and also disappointed by that. Relieved because thankfully it didn't use Trump support or anything, because that would be a weapon, or in this case, kind of like a shoot friends. It would give the media everything they wanted to portray the pro-Trump or Trump supporters as evil or as fascists or things like that. But I'm also disappointed because I also wanted him to face jail and other things. I wanted him to pay for his crimes behind jail. Obviously, it would also give an option that maybe he could be reformed, because when you go out and and become this radicalized, you not only are destroying your own life, but you're also destroying the life of others, especially the people who live with you or know you. For instance, this guy here, he has an 18-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter. Because you not only destroy the life of the person you kill, you're destroying your life, you're also destroying the life of your family. Especially in this case of his own kids. Imagine growing up without a father now, and then realizing that this father killed somebody. It's definitely not something that anybody should go through, especially kids. Imagine that going through life like this. No, it's definitely not. Anyway, back to the news. But at the same time, the nation, at least it wasn't... okay, here it is. April explained, at least it wasn't vigilante justice that got him, because I think that would actually be worse. 100% agreed with her, I say. It would feed the violence a lot more. Like I said, she seems to be the rational person in the family. She is definitely striking all the right keys here. She's spot on. I like her. But at the same time, the nationwide dispute is very highly black versus officers, and now we have a number of Antifa killed by an officer. No, a member of Antifa, not a number. So I can imagine things are going to get worse again. Witness said Michael exchanged heavy gunfire with feds using what looked like an assault rifle. What's that? An assault rifle? Oh, it's just because it's a big gun and black and you call it an assault rifle. Yeah. Retards. Outside an apartment complex in Tanglewood, Washington, just outside Lacey. Authorities said 4 officers opened fire, killing him. By the looks of this, based on this paragraph alone, it seems that they were trying to apprehend him and he knew that he was guilty, and tried to go out with a blaze of fire, or that he knew he would actually get something far worse or permanent, or even a perpetual or a life sentence in this case. And he wanted to go out as a martyr or suicide by cop. One of those things may actually have happened. Trying to drink some coffee. U.S. Marshal Task Force, comprised of local and state law enforcement officers, was attempting to arrest Michael on a warrant issued out of Portland earlier in the day. April 36 said that while she barely knew her elder brother, she was mourning his death and worried about his 2 children. Like I said, 18-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter, who were already trying to come to terms with the idea that their father could be a killer. I'm pretty sure they are already both pretty thoroughly devastated, she said. I don't imagine they are going to take it well. I agree. Because of the actions of this retard, you ruin this life, the life of your 2 kids, and more people. By proxy. April identified her brother to police after the police after deadly Portland shooting, saying he was verbally abusive to their dementia-stricken mother and in a downward spiral of death after a failed career as a professional snowboarder. Michael, who described himself as 100% Antifa, was killed the same day a Vice News interview aired in which he said he acted in self-defense when he shot Danielson on Saturday. I had no choice, he said. I had no choice. I could have sat there and watched them kill a friend of mine of color. I wasn't going to do that. Dude, you were not even sitting there. You weren't doing anything. They were going back home. They are going to the opposite side. And you went there and shot them. Maybe that's why you decided to go out this way and not surrendering yourself to the police. Carl Rittenhausen already knew that what he had to do. He was defending himself. He was there to help people. to help defend businesses that they were asked to do, and he worked there too. And then after everything happened, he surrendered himself to the police. That's what you do. But no, you prefer to run away, hide, and then go out by trying to kill some cops. And I think one of his intentions may actually have been that, he trying to kill a cop. But that's just allegedly, or maybe, or just maybes. Well, moving on. Oh, and I want to show you here the picture here on what he was doing, what he looked like. It's kind of tragic how you go from a downright spiral. This is from Daily Mail. You go from a downright spiral on looking like a normal kid in the 80s, and then apparently being a father, normal father, and everything else in here, into what became this dude here with a tattoo, with a fist on his neck. It's just sad, all around sad, because he ruined his life, the life of the victim he shot, with his Danielson, and then the life of his 2 kids, and maybe even his wife or ex-wife, I don't know. And he nearly ruined the life of the police officers too. This is what happens when you go and join a cult and you become radicalized. This is what happens when you become so unhinged and crazy. You destroyed everything. So just don't be like him. Well, thank you for watching. See you on my next video. Good night.